Hey, what's up, guys? Renan Santos here, and today I have Jeff and Kit, and we are going to talk about coaching strategies. These two are a couple in real life, and it was very interesting just to get you living in the same house, training together, right, and with very similar goals in mind, but from the very start, things were not equal, right? In terms of strategies, in terms of approach. But first of all, before we get into all of that and how we work together, why did you decide to get a coach? Like, why did you, I mean, you guys are big and buff. Like, why did you feel like you needed someone?
I think for me, it was I had, gone through like years of going to the gym without really any guidance. I would look up a YouTube video to do how to do a workout, and it got me somewhere. I was in okay shape before I came to you, but I wasn't anywhere near the goals that I wanted to get to, and I knew that in order to get there, I needed some guidance. And so, luckily. We found you, and I think I've been getting that guidance so far. So it's
That
definitely what I was looking for.
unbiased pair of eyes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of similar. It's like we've been on. I think we've all gone to the gym a lot. We've all like I've even had a couple of coaches before, like maybe like an online coach once, and then one time in person as well. But to be honest, like a lot of that like accountability wasn't really there for those coaches. Like they would just simply do really simple plans, or they just tell you, okay, just hit these macros every day, and like that's it. And honestly, like I feel like I spend a lot of time, working my job and like, doing all these other things in my life, and I just don't really have the mental like real estate or the mental bandwidth to like spend time really fine tuning and trying to relearn things that I feel like, experienced people like you who would that would already know. So it's like it was really that, I really wanted to, take it to the next level and really just have someone there that could really to put it nicely, do the thinking for me because like and really rely on someone's experience there to really kind of, you know, because as a person, I feel like I'm very disciplined. It's like if you give me a plan, if you give me like an approach, I feel like I can hold myself accountable, and but I need someone to actually design that for me, right? And
Yeah.
honestly, like we haven't really found that before, so I think that's why we really wanted to, our goals were ambitious, and we obviously needed a plan that kind of really
Follow
would lead
that.
us to that goal, right?
Yeah, exactly. I
And
feel like
Jeff makes a really good point, actually. We both have really busy lives, and I think having you to like build a plan for us and take a lot of that guessing work out of the equation for us was really helpful and instrumental to like making this successful for us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been training for 15 years, and I mean, I've made a lot of mistakes also when I was like starting out, and having someone, I wish I had someone like that in the past. Like I wish I had someone to say, "You are doing something really wrong right now. Like, this is not working for you. You're
Yeah.
wasting your
Yeah.
time." You
Yeah.
know. But do you feel like your lives have changed in terms of lifestyle, in terms of like routine, ever since we started working together? Like, what has changed so far?
Yeah, I think for me personally, the biggest things that have changed are being able to establish a routine and staying accountable and consistent with that routine because I have I have you to back me up and hold me accountable to that routine. I feel like before, with my busy life with work and school and everything like that, I would get things done here if I had time, get things done here if I have time, but you've built a routine that I've been able to build into my life, and it's kept everything really consistent. And so I think having all of that sort of just streamlined for my life has been really
Yeah.
like it's kind of changed the game for me. Yeah.
What about you, Jeff?
Yeah, I think, for me, it's quite interesting because I think the first thing is that, like, since there's such a clear plan that was set, I don't think I've been so disciplined about a plan before. And I think that means there are inherently changes that happen, right, in your lifestyle. Like, we used to go out and eat a lot, right? Like, we used to, like, be, like, that used to be a big, like, social dimension of our lives, right? But like I think that obviously is very difficult if you really want to make progress. You really want to be like disciplined about your diet, things like that as well. You really can't do that, right? Because it's very hard to like control everything all the time if you really don't like if you aren't disciplined. So I mean I think there are changes in terms of what we prioritize and how we even do things socially. But ultimately I think it's towards our goal, and I think as long as we're holding ourselves accountable, I think the results speak for themselves. And
Yeah.
I think that's really exciting about it. And I think it's not always easy, but I think it's sometimes the right thing to do.
Yeah.
No, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think when you guys approached me, I mean, this is something that I actually do with everyone. You know, I love hearing what you eat on a daily basis. And you know, during the application form, like you listed what you ate on a daily basis, and I tried to kind of incorporate those foods to keep it the normalcy, right? They shouldn't feel total foreign. Like if you love eating, I don't know, let's say chicken instead of fish, like why would it put a meal plan full of fish for you?
Yeah.
You know, it should be something like to make it a breeze,
Yeah.
right? But it's still keeping you accountable, but trying to keep yourself with foods that do not cause a lot of inflammation, that make you feel good, that you are used to eating, they're easy to prepare, like whatever that reason is. And then you were working night shifts, crazy night shifts, and I saw what you were eating, you know, on a daily basis, and I was like, okay, how can I make this work without making it too complicated? Because I knew that you were, you know, working night shifts, and then you had to like rest during the day, and then try to, you know, make it work with training and so on. How did you feel that this experience in terms of, you know, keeping what you had before, but still like, how did that affect your work shifts in general? Like, could you do that?
I actually think it made things a lot easier for me because I think before, you know, my diet, especially on the days that I worked or had night shift, my diet was kind of chaotic. You know, if I had time to get something to eat here, I would pick up something really quickly right before work. But you have developed a meal plan, and that, you know, I know what I'm going to eat every day. It's going to be ready for me. I'm going to have that prepared already. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to take time to think about what I'm going to eat. Or, you know, it's true. When I work a night shift, I work for 13 hours. I sleep for 7 hours, maybe. And that leaves very little time in the rest of the day to think about what I'm going to eat or prepare food or anything like that. So you building a meal plan has actually made life so much simpler.
Simpler, yeah. And in terms of, I mean, you were talking about working 13 hours and then, you know, trying to sleep 7 hours. And when you approached me, I was like, oh my God, this guy's working night shift. Because sleeping is it's so important, right? Like, it does matter. You know, a lot of people overlook that. But if you're not resting, it's just like training well, eating well, but then your sleep super bad, that's going to affect your results. But we were trying to, like, I loved that your reports, it would include like, okay, in my normal nights, I slept this amount of hours, and then during my night shifts, I slept this amount of hours. And I'm like, don't worry, it's okay. One step at a time. We're improving, we're working our way up, like improving from, you know, X amount of hours to our goal. And I thought that it was like really important to always compare these two, because I know they were trying.
And you also had a lot of flexibility with that. Like if I told you this is how much I slept this week and I'm trying to get better, you'd be like, okay, well, I'm glad you're trying to get better. Let's do better next week. You know, it wouldn't just be like, oh, well, you know, you didn't get enough sleep. This is not going to work. You know, you were flexible with me and helped me sort of like build better habits over time.
And speaking of the social part that you brought up about dining out with friends, that's something that it is a challenge, right? It is a challenge because our lives spin around eating out with people. It is a thing. Like you meet people to eat. And one of the things that I love doing during coaching is just like, how can you guys go out and still make good choices, right? Like I love, you know, that we were having this conversation about dishes that are usually safer. Like sometimes breakfast options are safer than dinner options because you have this like egg whites and omelets and a lot of meat involved. But then, you know, if you go to an Italian restaurant, there's a lot of pasta and sauce, and you're like, oh, okay, what I'm doing here. So having that flexibility and kind of, you know, owning up to it. Like, sure, I ate out, but you know what? I also followed this meal plan the entire week. I'm having a meal with friends, but I'm getting there. I am working towards my goals, right? And I feel like that's like, we need to be real, you know, and you guys have lives. I don't want you to be confined, you know, like I compete, you don't. So having this like comparison of lifestyles and keeping you able to see your friends, keep, you know, able to have this social life is really important. And it's something that I never wanted you to abdicate in the first place. But even though you guys look amazing, you both have very different genetics, right? Very different backgrounds, and I was really trying to, okay, how can, you were training together even at the same time, right? And I wanted to keep that. I wanted you guys to be able to go to the gym together because I know with your busy lifestyles, maybe sometimes the gym was like the only time when you were actually like with each other.
Yeah.
You know, enjoying each other's company, right? And you approached me and I was like, okay, Kit has a very strong upper body. Like his, you know, you can see that it's what really stands out. Whereas Jeff has like amazing legs. And I was like, oh, we have like very different genetics here. And these bodies respond differently. And I kept that, I was very conscious about that from the very start. How did you react when you saw that I put in the training schedule, like, Kit, you have to do more of this, and Jeff, you have to do more of that?
I mean, I think it's definitely, you know, I think it's obvious even just looking at us, like, you know, it's like you're totally right. We have different strengths and we have different, you know, our bodies react differently. So I think it totally made sense. And I'm actually glad that, you know, you didn't do some sort of cookie cutter, right? I actually would have been disappointed, to be honest, because like, yeah, we do have different bodies and we need different stimulus. Like we need to like obviously treat them differently in order for them to grow, right? I wouldn't say we have like, none of us have like perfectly balanced, you know, physiques, right? And we always have to like, you know, build different parts, progress different parts and grow over time, right?
Totally.
And so like it was really exciting for me to see that, you know, you were actually tailoring, like even though you're right, like we do love spending the time in the gym together, but like even though you're doing the same exercise, hey, hit this different rep range for this particular set, well, you might think about like, you know, doing heavier here, but then really like, you know, trying to clamp that, like, you know, increase weight, etc., versus like something Kit would do, right? So it's like, I think it's actually really important to me that you were able to tailor even within like the same types of exercises so that we could still spend, you know, we don't need to like wait on like 10 different machines on different times at the same, you know, we could work together, but still try to achieve, you know, make progress towards our own individual like physique goals as well.
Yeah, being aware of that difference, right? I feel that's really important, and training matters a lot. You know, you started with this, you know, same split, but different emphasis, and still going to the gym together. Then after that, we evolved, you know, because as soon as I saw your body, I was like, wow. First of all, there's a 20-pound difference in body weight. So there is a different amount of body fat and there's an amount of lean muscle, right, that these two are carrying. And I was like, okay, we have to spot the weaknesses and the strengths of each physique. So after that, I decided to put you guys on a more power-oriented split where there was a lot of leg involvement. But then it was, I mean, I hate that split.
We did too.
You know, I hate it. It's a lot of legs. I agree with you guys. You know, when you send me a message, it's so much legs. I'm like, I know. It is awful.
Leg day every day.
Yeah, it was like day every day. Yeah.
But it was because, you know, there was a purpose behind that.
Yeah.
You know, like I even explained it to you. I said, listen, I know you want your guns bigger, but your legs weigh way more than your bicep.
Yeah.
Like these are big muscles. So, you know, if I want to put you on like 180 pounds, we have to grow your big muscles even bigger. And I really want to build this stronger foundation because as you increase your body weight, you know, your lower back will start hurting. You know, you will feel that you're going to get heavier and heavier. So having that strong foundation to sustain your body is so important.
Balance.
Yeah, and then I kept you longer in that split, and then Jeff got out of it.
Thank you.
But by the way, now you're both free.
Yeah.
Did you hate me for that?
No, I didn't. And honestly, I'm really thankful that you are so communicative with everything because, yeah, it wasn't like the most fun part of the program so far. But, you know, if we come to you and we're like, why am I on legs so long? You know, you're open to explaining, you know, what's going on, why I'm doing this. I think you being communicative about that helps me push through it a little bit.
Yeah,
more.
trust me. Like I feel like we do have very similar physiques. Like I was not blessed with my legs like Jeff is. It's been a struggle. You know, people come ask me, "Oh, how's your chest workout?" I'm like, don't ask me. You're going to be very disappointed. Ask me about my leg workout because that's where I actually kill myself.
Yeah.
You know, because I was not blessed with good leg genes. Like I actually have to train myself like so hard to make them grow. So having that awareness, where we have to place our stress, mostly on, and that's key. That's key. I love training biceps. I love training chest. I mean, who doesn't, right? It's fun. It's great. You look in the mirror like, oh, I'm pumped. But sometimes you have to do the
Yeah.
not really fun part, in order to get there.
Yeah.
When we first, got started, we had to think about a strategy and how we would accomplish these goals, right? And you wanted to go bigger. I mean, I was very happy about that. I love when people want to put on size, but we wanted to. I mean, I felt like there was a need for trimming down a little bit. Trying to get in that optimal muscle building window where your body is just more capable of building muscle. Your metabolism is up to speed. It's just a better environment, right? You do have more cushion. So even if you put on weight and gain a few pounds of fat here and there, you're still lean, right? How did you react to me putting you guys on hold, like not bulking right away?
Yeah, I think for me, I was initially really confused. I was like, why? I asked Hernan to help me because I want to put on muscle. Why are we going to the gym to lose weight every day? I don't understand this. And then I think it took some time for me to see the results. And once I started seeing the results, I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. So I did. It did take some patience on my end, and on your end, to sort of get through that initial phase of, okay, we have to cut you down first. And now that I look at the pictures from where I started, I'm like, oh my God, thank God that you decided to cut us down, because we were not in good shape to start bulking, to start putting on weight. We definitely needed that initial phase. So very thankful for you pushing us through that. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like for me too, it was very much I felt like, all the times before, it was very much you bulk and you kind of cut a little bit maybe, but you're not very disciplined with the cut. So you just kind of end up you do get bigger. And honestly, I think, before we were always so focused on the numbers on the scale, right? We were always for this bulk, I should really be I should gain 15 pounds. I should gain 20 pounds every single time. And then of course, then you'd stop the bulk. You might cut a little bit. But honestly, I think that kind of repeated. And honestly, I think it's really hard to have a lot of the discipline to cut back down after a bulk. I feel especially when you don't have someone holding you accountable, it's very easy to just be if I'm gonna bulk again in a month from now, how much do I really need to cut down?
Yeah.
But honestly, I think it's not being in that optimal fat body fat percentage and the optimal muscle building conditions actually really did impact how much progress you can make.
Oh, yeah.
So I think once again, I think you're totally right. It's it did take a little bit of time for us to adjust okay, I guess we got to get smaller first.
Yeah.
But honestly though, it ultimately I think was the right thing to do, and clearly I think the results speak for themselves.
Yeah, and I mean, by the end of just that recomp phase, it's the first phase of our training, right? But just by that end of that first phase, we were both in the best shape I think either of us had ever been in. So I think we definitely saw the benefits of even just the recomp phase. So it made us even more excited for what's coming next. That's another thing that's been helpful about working out with your partner, or doing this type of program with your partner, is of course we have you to hold us accountable, and we have the check-ins with you, but we're there with each other 24 hours a day, and so if I'm feeling I'm not meeting a goal or making progress, or he's there to back me up or hold me accountable, or pick that up for me. So in that way, it's been really helpful to work out with your partner too.
Yeah, I love that for you guys, because having that kind of support is something that not everyone does have. And it really helps.
Yeah.
When you feel like you're alone, or that you're doing things that nobody else is doing, or why am I even doing this? Why am I subjecting myself to such a hard diet?
Yeah.
Those, strenuous workouts, it does pay off when you have someone to back you up and say, hey, you're doing great, and you're going to get there, to support those goals. But after that recomp phase, I mean, you had a trip, right, coming up. You said, hey, Hernan, I'm going to Asia, and I really want to look great. I mean, who doesn't want to look great for a trip, right? I had this, oh my God, this a horrible trip. In 2020, I went to Florida and I hated all of my photos. I took these photos and I was like, this is not going to Instagram. Instagram never saw this photo. So when you
never went to Florida.
Oh, I've never been there. So when you told me that you were going to Asia and you know had this vacation plan, I was like, these guys have to. I want them to kill it. I want them to take photos and feel proud of what they worked on so hard. So as soon as we had dates, so we kind of planned accordingly with that calendar, with that time frame. So it's possible we're going to get there. And then I said, but let's hold them, like, let's not bulk right away. You know, you wanted more food, and I was like, not yet, not yet.
Yeah.
I said, since you're going on a trip, it doesn't make a lot of sense to bulk you right now. Sure, you want to look, a little fuller for your trip photos, but you're going to be traveling, drinking water from abroad, eating food from abroad, sleeping in a different time zone. Like, everything will change. And you'll maybe get sick or not, like, who knows? Let's enjoy a trip. Go, deload. So that was kind of a deload period, right? Did you enjoy that phase where you were like not so
Yeah, it
intense?
was like we were on vacation in more ways than once, in more ways than one. We were in a different country, but you also gave us the freedom to sort of like enjoy our vacation because we had worked so hard up to that point that we were able to sort of, not have to think about it so much while we were on our vacation. Obviously, we tried to make smart decisions as much as possible while we were in Asia, but it was really nice to just sort of relax from that for a little bit because we felt good. We felt good about the way that we looked, so we felt like we could breathe for a minute and deload and decompress from that.
Yeah, I'm gonna even put photos here in the video. You guys will see how these two
A little montage.
Yeah, a little collage will pop up right now's photos.
Yeah.
They were amazing.
I think the important thing is those photos made it on Instagram.
Yes.
So
They were
that's-
Instagram worthy. Yeah.
Oh, I was actually living vicariously through your photos. During that phase, I was like, "Oh my God, you're having such a great time! Yes. Keep going." And then you guys got back, but then got sick. Did you get sick there, or
Yeah, we got sick there.
Oh,
so,
God.
of course, you just talked about, drinking water abroad. Go to Bali, be careful.
Yeah.
Bali belly.
Bali belly is a real thing. Yeah.
oh God? Yeah, I've heard stories. Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories, and it's not fun. If you're traveling, like, no, you
Yeah.
don't want to get sick.
Yeah.
But you know what? You guys looked amazing in the photos. Nobody saw the Bali Belly.
And right before the next phase of our training, I was very lean from the food poisoning.
So, I don't know if that was on purpose in your programming.
But it worked out.
Just fine.
Yeah.
It was great. But I mean, that's life.
Yeah.
And I was, nobody got punished. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm glad that you guys had a great time in Asia and it paid off. And then now that you're back, back to the office, back to work, and we are bulking. Finally.
Yeah.
Food. How's food treating you so far? Like, do you like the new approach? Like, we're basically carb cycling, right?
Yeah.
With a rest day, macro
Yeah.
nutrient, and then a training day.
Yeah.
How did you react to the fact that you're like basically on keto for rest days?
I think at first I was pretty hungry on those rest days, but I pushed through it, and I think in the initial phase we had longer rest time because we were doing a different type of split. So we had like more rest days where we were eating less. But now that we're like really into the bulking phase, it's just a single day of rest with like, less carbs. So it's definitely doable. It's become just part of routine. It's a lot easier now.
I mean, speak for yourself. I'm cranky. I love carbs, so no, but yeah, I think same with Kate. Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. It's like a nice breakup in the diet, anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of variation. We know we got to eat different things, like it's higher fat foods a little bit. It's a lot. It is a nice variation, anyways, to break up like the
Yeah.
routine, anyways.
And I like to give that rest day really to, like I said, get out of that routine of the monotony, right? Of the same food over and over again. But also, if hunger starts being really, really bad,
Yeah.
we will switch from, shakes to solid food to like
Yeah.
have that, you're having food in your mouth, right? That really makes the difference. But what I like to do personally, this is also a tip for you guys, for you there. I love syncing my training days with my eating out. Like we can, basically I love meeting my friends after training legs to do all you can eat sushi.
Smart.
Like I'm not gonna do all you can eat sushi on a rest day, or I'm not gonna like that's a day you should like be at home,
Yeah.
chilling,
Yes.
doing Netflix and not like really moving much. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to burn calories today.
Yeah.
But that is not that is a purpose behind that.
Yeah.
If you guys are not spending as much energy at the gym, there is not a lot of sense for me to give you a lot of food. And what a lot of people get wrong is that they have this like standard diet that they get from a coach or from the internet with the same macros for every day. And that's where you're like basically ingesting your beloved carbs and then spiking insulin unnecessarily. And then if your body is not producing enough insulin, then it's going to become fat. It's going to get stored somehow. Energy doesn't disappear. That's like one of the laws of physics. It goes somewhere, but maybe not where we want it to get stored. But then on training days, on the other hand, I told you this many times to you. If I'm giving you more food, I want you guys to train harder. Like earn those carbs. Use them well at the gym so we can build muscle. And that's something that I've been trying to like track with you during your workouts. Like I really want to make sure that you guys are training harder. Like don't plateau. Like if you can do heavier, go heavier. Of course without hurting yourself. And try to get bigger and keeping that ratio of as lean as possible, as muscular as possible. Because at the end of the day, like you said at the very beginning, you were so focused on the weight on the scale. And it matters to if you want to brag about someone that you're really heavy, but if you're carrying so much fat, it doesn't really matter, right? I want you guys to get muscular, not fatter.
Right.
Or
Right.
I want you to be healthier in the first place.
Not just bigger to be bigger.
Exactly. Like I do feel like there's a big difference between me at 220 with 17% of body fat and me at 220 with 10% of body fat. I sleep better, I walk better, I feel way less pain, my ankles are less swollen. Like there is a health aspect behind that too. Like if you're leaner, you just live better and feel better.
He just actually got complimented the other day, like, hey man, how much do you weigh? And he like told him his weight, and he's like, what? I thought you were like 30
he thought
pounds.
he thought I weighed like 195 pounds or something. I was like, I'm like 20 pounds less than that.
Yeah, but I mean, in some ways, like that's the best compliment.
It
Right?
is.
Of like, oh my god, like how do you actually like look so much bigger than what people actually expect, right? Of like, so I think in a lot of ways, I think we're making a lot of progress towards that goal, and I think we're already starting to see like a lot of progress, and really excited to see what the future holds.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a very good future, a bright future ahead of you. I mean, Kit, Jeff, thank you so much for coming and joining us for this talk. I hope that you guys got a little bit of a glimpse of how complex coaching is, and when you have a couple, how you manage that, how you try to coordinate the differences between your genetics, your weight and height, and everything else that comes with your jobs. They are different. Everything is different. So thank you so much. I am super happy to have you guys on board. I feel like it's been so much fun, and I feel like the next year. I mean, I'm looking forward for your summer. I mean, I want to see you guys on the beach and be like, those are my.
We are too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Awesome.
guys.
Thank you, man. Thanks.